The mountains had always been Erika Harywright's refuge. At 27, she had traded the chaos of the city for the steady rhythm of wind, rain, and the rustle of pine needles outside her cabin window. Her only companions were the mountains, a loyal husky named Togo, and the faint echo of her late father's voice reminding her, "The forest keeps secrets, Erika. Some you'll want to know, some you won't." That morning the forest was unnaturally quiet. No birdsong, no wind. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Only the soft crunch of frost under Erika's boots as she trudged up the ridge trail with her rifle slung across her back and Togo trotting ahead, nose low to the ground. She was tracking a missing hiker reported by a ranger the day before. Volunteering for search parties had become her way of staying useful out here in this lonely patch of the Rockies. But something about this one felt off. No name had been given, no coordinates, just a vague message from the ranger station. Man seen heading north, possibly injured. By midday, the temperature had dropped. A storm was brewing, the kind that rolled in suddenly, thick with sleet and lightning. Erika turned to head back down, when Togo stopped dead in his tracks. The husky's fur bristled. He let out a low, trembling growl. Erika followed his gaze and froze. There, half buried beneath a curtain of ferns and fallen branches, was a man. His clothes were torn, his face pale, and blood had soaked through the bandages wrapped hastily around his shoulder. His eyes were open, sharp grey eyes that flicked toward her and narrowed in alarm. "Hey!" Erika dropped to her knees beside him. "You're hurt." He grabbed her wrist with surprising strength. His voice was hoarse but urgent. "Don't talk," she blinked, startled. "What?" He tightened his grip. "Don't talk." His eyes darted toward the tree line behind her. "They'll hear." A chill ran down her spine. The forest was silent again, but it was the kind of silence that seemed alive, as though it were listening. Erika glanced around, heart pounding. "Who will—" "Quiet," he hissed. His hand shook violently. He pointed weakly toward the forest beyond the clearing. "They're still out there." Erika hesitated, instinct screaming to run, but the man was bleeding badly. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, his face streaked with grime, lips cracked from the cold. Whatever he'd seen out there had hollowed him. "Okay," she whispered, barely moving her lips. "Okay, don't talk." She slipped her pack off and pulled out a first aid kit. The man tried to protest, but his strength gave out. Erika cut away the makeshift bandage. The wound was deep, claw marks jagged and uneven, as if something had raked across him. Not a bear, not a mountain lion, something else. Togo whimpered softly, pacing around them, nose twitching at the air. Erika wrapped the wound tightly and looked into the stranger's eyes. "We need to get you out of here," she murmured. He shook his head violently. "No, the forest isn't safe," she frowned. "You'll freeze if you stay." "The cabin," he rasped. "Yours isolated?" She nodded slowly. "Half a mile downhill." He nodded once. "Help me, there. But if you hear anything at all, don't speak. Don't even breathe loud." Erika didn't know what terrified her more, his words or the sheer conviction behind them. She helped him to his feet, his weight heavy on her shoulder. Every few steps he winced but refused to cry out. The forest around them seemed to tighten, shadows shifting between the trees as the light faded. When they reached the ridge trail again, the wind picked up, and then faintly from somewhere behind them came a sound that made Erika's blood run cold. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was a low, rippling whistle, like a voice trying to mimic one. The stranger froze. Erika's breath caught. He mouthed one word, "Don't!" They moved faster after that, half running, half stumbling, until the cabin appeared through the fog, small, wooden, a warm orange glow flickering from the window. Erika threw open the door, helping him onto the couch by the fire. Only when she shut and bolted the door did she dare speak again. "Who are you?" The man's eyes were glazed but wary. "Name's Nathan." "Nathan Cole. Where did you come from?" He shook his head, gripping the edge of the couch. You wouldn't believe me. Try me, Erika said softly. You're bleeding all over my floor. Nathan gave a faint, bitter smile. Fair point. He took a shaky breath. I was part of a research team. 3 of us! We were studying seismic activity north of here. There's something wrong with the ground in that part of the mountain. Wrong how? Things move underground, he whispered. But it's not earthquakes. It's patterns, almost like signals. Erika frowned. You think something's alive under there? He didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted toward the window, where the forest pressed close against the glass. Then he said quietly, I saw one of them. The fire cracked. Outside, Togo began to bark furiously. Nathan's eyes snapped wide open. He struggled upright, pain flaring across his face. Get the lights off, now! Erika didn't ask questions. She darted to the switch, plunging the cabin into darkness. Only the faint orange flicker of the dying fire remained. Outside, Togo's barking turned into a growl, then silence. Erika reached for her rifle. Nathan's voice was barely a whisper. They follow sound. That's why I told you not to talk. A shadow moved past the window. Something enormous brushed against the wall of the cabin. Slow, deliberate, like it was feeling for them. Erika's pulse hammered. Nathan pressed a finger to his lips, eyes wide with fear, and in the stillness, through the thin wooden walls, came that sound again, a long, low whistle, rising and falling in rhythm. Almost curious, it was followed by a second one, closer. Erika's breath caught in her throat. The injured stranger leaned toward her, voice barely audible. Don't talk, he murmured again. If you do, they'll know we're here. The wind howled outside the cabin, rattling the loose window panes. The storm had finally arrived, bringing sleet that slapped against the glass like cold hands. Inside, Erika stood frozen by the door, her rifle clutched to her chest, listening. The sound, that eerie, rippling whistle, had faded, replaced by the creak of trees swaying in the wind. But the silence that followed was worse. It wasn't the calm of nature. It was a pause. The kind of silence that waits for something. Nathan's breathing was ragged. He leaned forward on the couch, his face pale in the firelight. They're gone, he whispered. For now. Erika swallowed hard. What are they? Nathan hesitated, eyes darting toward the darkened window again. You wouldn't believe me. You said that before, Erika replied. Try me now. He met her gaze, and for a long moment she saw not a scientist, but a man crushed under something too heavy to name. Finally he spoke. They aren't animals. They aren't human. We called them echoes. Erika frowned. Echoes. Nathan nodded slowly. They mimic sound, voices, movement, even breathing. The deeper you go into the forest, the clearer their mimicry gets. My team thought they were a natural phenomenon, sound reverberations from underground chambers. But then we saw one. It wasn't an echo. It was something using the sound. He shivered, his eyes distant. It took Dr. Pierce first. We heard her calling for help in the dark. The exact same voice, the same tone. But she'd been dead for hours. Erika's stomach turned. You're saying they copy people? Yes, and they hunt by listening. That's why I told you not to speak. The words hung heavy in the cabin. The fire crackled, and somewhere outside, a branch snapped under unseen weight. Erika moved toward the window cautiously, peering into the storm. Snow flurries twisted between the trees, half hiding the forest beyond. For a moment she thought she saw a shape, tall, hunched, moving with unnatural fluidity. But when she blinked, it was gone. Why are you out here? She asked quietly. You could have gone to the ranger station, the highway. Nathan shook his head, grimacing in pain. They're drawn to population centers. Noise, movement. They adapt. I had to get away from sound. I ran south until I collapsed. Erika tightened her grip on the rifle. So now they're following you? He didn't answer, but his silence was enough. Togo whimpered near the door. The husky's ears were flattened, his body pressed low to the floor. He was trembling, muscles tight as if he could feel vibrations the humans couldn't. Erika knelt beside him, stroking his fur. Easy, boy. Nathan closed his eyes, breathing shallow. You should have left me. I don't do that, Erika said simply. You needed help. He looked at her, a flicker of something like guilt crossing his face. "Then you've made yourself a target." The lights flickered once, twice, then died. The fire still burned, throwing long, wavering shadows across the walls. Erika's heart raced. "Power lines must have gone down." Nathan leaned forward sharply. "Don't talk." She froze. A faint noise drifted from outside, like soft footsteps circling the cabin. Slow, careful. Then another sound followed. Her own voice. "Hello?" The word echoed from the forest. "They already have." The wind howled again, carrying with it faint voices, her laughter, Nathan's warnings, her father's old mountain tales. All tangled together, Nathan sank back into the couch, clutching his wound. "We can't stay here." "I know," Erika said. She reloaded the rifle. "At first light, we head for the ridge. You said your research camp was north. Maybe there's equipment there. Maybe answers." Nathan nodded weakly. "If the echoes haven't taken it." Erika glanced out the window again. The snow was falling harder now, and somewhere deep in the forest, something called out, a long, drawn-out whistle that mimicked her last gunshot perfectly. They were learning faster. She turned down the fire and whispered, "Don't talk. Don't move. Just wait for dawn." Togo pressed against her leg, trembling. Nathan's breathing slowed. Outside, a single voice, hers again, whispered through the storm, "You can't run from yourself." Dawn never really came. It bled weakly through the snow clouds, a dim grey light that made the forest look half dead, suspended between night and day. The storm had buried the trail almost completely, leaving behind a world muffled and still. Erika tightened the straps on her pack and glanced toward Nathan, who leaned weakly against the cabin wall. He was pale, his shoulder still bleeding through the fresh bandages. "You sure you can walk?" she asked. He gave a faint, grim smile. "Not sure, no. But sitting here's worse." Togo waited by the door, alert, tail stiff. He hadn't barked since the night before. It was as if even the dog knew that sound itself had become dangerous. Erika opened the door slowly. The forest stretched before them, white, endless and quiet. No birds, no wind. Only the distant groan of trees under the snow's weight. Nathan looked up at the ridgeline, where dark rocks jutted out through the frost. "The research site is about 6 miles north. If we cut through the old logging road, we'll save time." "Lead the way," Erika said. They set off into the cold, moving slowly, carefully. Every footstep was deliberate. Every breath felt too loud. After an hour, the silence began to feel unnatural, heavy, almost watchful. Erika couldn't shake the feeling that something followed just beyond sight, keeping pace with them, hidden behind the trees. Once, she thought she saw movement, a flicker of her own silhouette stepping between the pines. When she turned, nothing was there. Nathan noticed her unease. "They test your memory," he whispered. "Once they've copied your voice, they start copying your image. If they can make you doubt what's real, you'll slip up. Make noise. That's when they strike." Erika's stomach knotted. "So they're like hunters that use your own reflection against you." "Exactly. But they're not hunting for food," he said quietly. "They're searching for form," she frowned. "Form?" He hesitated. "To become something permanent." They walked in silence for another mile. The snow grew deeper, and Nathan's pace slowed. He stopped at one point to catch his breath, pressing a hand against a nearby tree. Erika moved to help, but he waved her off. "I'm fine." "No, you're not," she said softly. "We should rest." He opened his mouth to argue, but then froze, staring past her. "Erika." She turned. In the distance, half shrouded by snow, stood 3 figures. All of them were her. Same coat, same braid, same rifle. Each one stood motionless, facing her. Her pulse spiked. "Nathan, don't!" he hissed. "Don't speak!" The 3 figures began to move. Not toward them, but around them, circling slowly in a wide arc. Togo growled low, pressing close to Erika's leg. His fur bristled as one of the copies stopped and tilted its head, exactly the way she had the night before. Nathan whispered, "They're her echoes. They know your voice now. They can confuse you." Erika swallowed hard. "Then we keep walking." They did, fast but silent, cutting away from the path and down toward the frozen creek. The ice cracked faintly under their boots. Behind them, the copies followed, their movements synchronized, eerily precise. Nathan stumbled once, nearly falling, and Erika caught him just in time. The contact was warm, too warm. His skin burned like fever. "You're getting worse," she muttered. "Doesn't matter," he rasped. "We're close. The ridge bends north soon." After that, he didn't finish, because ahead of them, half buried in snow, stood something man-made, the edge of a collapsed steel tower and the twisted frame of a tent. "The camp," Nathan whispered. They approached slowly. Everything was frozen solid. Research equipment scattered like toys, data drives half buried in ice, a toppled generator. A tent flap hung open, revealing inside what looked like a makeshift lab. Erika knelt beside a frozen laptop case and pried it open. Inside was a hard drive, miraculously intact. Nathan's eyes widened. "If that still works, we can prove it. We can show what's happening here." But Erika wasn't listening. Something else had caught her attention, tracks in the snow. Barefoot, human-like, but wrong. The toes were too long, the gait uneven, like something that hadn't quite learned to walk. She followed them with her eyes until they disappeared into the trees. "Nathan," she whispered, "what did your team find down there?" He hesitated, then said softly, "We thought it was seismic activity. But it wasn't the ground moving. It was something underneath it. A sound, a pulse. We followed it underground and found structures." "Structures?" He nodded slowly. "Organic, like roots made of glass. They vibrated, resonated. When you got too close, they'd hum back." Erika's throat went dry. "And you think those things, the echoes, just came from that?" "I know they did. We disturbed them. A sudden rustle made both of them spin. From the tree line, one of the copies stepped into view. Its face was hers, but its eyes were pitch black, its smile unblinking. Another followed, then another. Nathan grabbed her arm. "Don't move." But Togo barked, once, loud. The sound shattered the air like a gunshot. The copies reacted instantly. Their heads snapped toward the dog, and in an instant they were running. Fast, too fast. Erika fired. The rifle crack echoed through the valley, and one of the creatures dropped, dissolving into mist. But two more leapt onto the ice, their movements jerky but powerful. "Togo, run!" she shouted. The husky darted away into the trees. Erika grabbed Nathan's arm and pulled him toward the nearest tent. They dove inside as the creatures hit the ice, and the entire frozen creek fractured. A thunderous crack split the air. The ground beneath them gave way. Erika felt weightlessness, then cold, shocking, crushing cold as they plunged into dark water. The world spun. The current pulled her under, tearing at her coat. She fought upward, breaking through the surface just long enough to see the hole they'd fallen through. Nathan surfaced beside her, gasping. The cave below? Erika followed his gaze. Beneath the ice, faint lights pulsed, blue, rhythmic, alive. The same hum he had described, vibrating through her bones. And then, in the darkness below them, something moved, vast and slow, glowing with the same impossible light. Nathan's voice trembled. "That's what we woke up." The hum grew louder, resonating through the water, the ice, even their chests. And then Erika realized the horrifying truth. The sound wasn't just beneath them. It was calling to something above. From the hole they'd fallen through came dozens of answering whistles. The echoes had found them again. The freezing water clawed at Erika's lungs. For a split second she couldn't tell up from down. Just a storm of bubbles, ice, and blinding cold. She reached out blindly, fingers brushing fabric. "Nathan!" She grabbed his sleeve and kicked hard, dragging both of them toward the dim blue light pulsing beneath the water. They broke the surface inside a wide underground cavern. The walls glowed faintly, veins of crystalline material pulsing with rhythmic light, like the heartbeat of something enormous and ancient. Their breaths echoed softly, swallowed by the hum. Nathan gasped beside her, barely conscious. "We fell." Inside it, Erika pulled him toward a shallow ledge, teeth chattering as she hauled them both out of the water. The air down here was thick and humid, strange given the snowstorm above. The hum vibrated through her bones. It wasn't sound anymore. It was inside her, Togo's distant barking filtered faintly from above, muffled by ice. Still alive. Relief flickered through her, brief, fragile, before fading beneath the weight of the eerie silence that followed. She turned to Nathan. "What is this place?" He coughed, water dripping from his hair. "Our readings led here. We thought it was geothermal, until we found the first tunnel lined with these." He gestured weakly at the crystalline walls. "They resonate at specific frequencies, like they're listening or remembering." Erika frowned. "Remembering what?" Nathan's eyes darkened. "Us." She stared at him. "Come again." "These formations record vibration. Every sound, every word, every echo ever made in the mountains. Over centuries, they've become the echoes themselves." Erika shook her head. "That doesn't make sense." "They already have." The wind howled again, carrying with it faint voices, her laughter, Nathan's warnings, her father's old mountain tales. All tangled together, Nathan sank back into the couch, clutching his wound. "We can't stay here." "I know," Erika said. She reloaded the rifle. "At first light, we head for the ridge. You said your research camp was north. Maybe there's equipment there. Maybe answers." Nathan nodded weakly. "If the echoes haven't taken it." Erika glanced out the window again. The snow was falling harder now, and somewhere deep in the forest, something called out, a long, drawn-out whistle that mimicked her last gunshot perfectly. They were learning faster. She turned down the fire and whispered, "Don't talk. Don't move. Just wait for dawn." Togo pressed against her leg, trembling. Nathan's breathing slowed. Outside, a single voice, hers again, whispered through the storm. "You can't run from yourself." Dawn never really came. It bled weakly through the snow clouds, a dim grey light that made the forest look half dead, suspended between night and day. The storm had buried the trail almost completely, leaving behind a world muffled and still. Erika tightened the straps on her pack and glanced toward Nathan, who leaned weakly against the cabin wall. He was pale, his shoulder still bleeding through the fresh bandages. "You sure you can walk?" she asked. He gave a faint, grim smile. "Not sure, no. But sitting here's worse." Togo waited by the door, alert, tail stiff. He hadn't barked since the night before. It was as if even the dog knew that sound itself had become dangerous. Erika opened the door slowly. The forest stretched before them, white, endless and quiet. No birds, no wind. Only the distant groan of trees under the snow's weight. Nathan looked up at the ridgeline, where dark rocks jutted out through the frost. "The research site is about 6 miles north. If we cut through the old logging road, we'll save time." "Lead the way," Erika said. They set off into the cold, moving slowly, carefully. Every footstep was deliberate. Every breath felt too loud. After an hour, the silence began to feel unnatural, heavy, almost watchful. Erika couldn't shake the feeling that something followed just beyond sight, keeping pace with them, hidden behind the trees. Once, she thought she saw movement, a flicker of her own silhouette stepping between the pines. When she turned, nothing was there. Nathan noticed her unease. "They test your memory," he whispered. "Once they've copied your voice, they start copying your image. If they can make you doubt what's real, you'll slip up. Make noise. That's when they strike." Erika's stomach knotted. "So they're like hunters that use your own reflection against you." "Exactly. But they're not hunting for food," he said quietly. "They're searching for form," she frowned. "Form?" He hesitated. "To become something permanent." They walked in silence for another mile. The snow grew deeper, and Nathan's pace slowed. He stopped at one point to catch his breath, pressing a hand against a nearby tree. Erika moved to help, but he waved her off. "I'm fine." "No, you're not," she said softly. "We should rest." He opened his mouth to argue, but then froze, staring past her. "Erika!" She turned. In the distance, half shrouded by snow, stood 3 figures. All of them were her. Same coat, same braid, same rifle. Each one stood motionless, facing her. Her pulse spiked. "Nathan, don't!" he hissed. "Don't speak." The 3 figures began to move. Not toward them, but around them, circling slowly in a wide arc. Togo growled low, pressing close to Erika's leg. His fur bristled as one of the copies stopped and tilted its head exactly the way she had the night before. Nathan whispered, "They're her echoes. They know your voice now. They can confuse you." Erika swallowed hard. "Then we keep walking." They did, fast but silent, cutting away from the path and down toward the frozen creek. The ice cracked faintly under their boots. Behind them the copies followed, their movements synchronized, eerily precise. Nathan stumbled once, nearly falling, and Erika caught him just in time. The contact was warm, too warm. His skin burned like fever. "You're getting worse," she muttered. "Doesn't matter," he rasped. "We're close. The ridge bends north soon." After that, he didn't finish, because ahead of them, half buried in snow, stood something man-made, the edge of a collapsed steel tower and the twisted frame of a tent. "The camp," Nathan whispered. They approached slowly. Everything was frozen solid. Research equipment scattered like toys, data drives half buried in ice, a toppled generator. A tent flap hung open, revealing inside what looked like a makeshift lab. Erika knelt beside a frozen laptop case and pried it open. Inside was a hard drive, miraculously intact. Nathan's eyes widened. "If that still works, we can prove it. We can show what's happening here." But Erika wasn't listening. Something else had caught her attention. Tracks in the snow. Barefoot, human-like, but wrong. The toes were too long, the gait uneven, like something that hadn't quite learned to walk. She followed them with her eyes until they disappeared into the trees. "Nathan," she whispered, "what did your team find down there?" He hesitated, then said softly, "We thought it was seismic activity, but it wasn't the ground moving. It was something underneath it. A sound, a pulse. We followed it underground and found structures. He nodded slowly. Organic, like roots made of glass. They vibrated, resonated. When you got too close, they'd come back." Erika's throat went dry. "And you think those things, the echoes, came from that?" "I know they did. We disturbed them." A sudden rustle made both of them spin. From the tree line, one of the copies stepped into view. Its face was hers, but its eyes were pitch black, its smile unblinking. Another followed, then another. Nathan grabbed her arm. "Don't move," but Togo barked. Once, loud. The sound shattered the air like a gunshot. The copies reacted instantly. Their heads snapped toward the dog, and in an instant they were running. Fast, too fast, Erika fired. The rifle crack echoed through the valley, and one of the creatures dropped, dissolving into mist. But two more leapt onto the ice, their movements jerky but powerful. "Togo, run!" she shouted. The husky darted away into the trees. Erika grabbed Nathan's arm and pulled him toward the nearest tent. They dove inside as the creatures hit the ice, and the entire frozen creek fractured. A thunderous crack split the air. The ground beneath them gave way. Erika felt weightlessness, then cold, shocking, crushing cold as they plunged into dark water. The world spun. The current pulled her under, tearing at her coat. She fought upward, breaking through the surface just long enough to see the hole they'd fallen through. Nathan surfaced beside her, gasping. "The cave below!" Erika followed his gaze. Beneath the ice, faint lights pulsed, blue rhythmic. Alive, the same hum he had described, vibrating through her bones. And then, in the darkness below them, something moved, vast and slow, glowing with the same impossible light. Nathan's voice trembled. "That's what we woke up." The hum grew louder, resonating through the water, the ice, even their chests. And then Erika realized the horrifying truth. The sound wasn't just beneath them. It was calling to something above. From the hole they'd fallen through came dozens of answering whistles. The echoes had found them again. The freezing water clawed at Erika's lungs. For a split second she couldn't tell up from down, just a storm of bubbles, ice, and blinding cold. She reached out blindly, fingers brushing fabric. "Nathan!" She grabbed his sleeve and kicked hard, dragging both of them toward the dim blue light pulsing beneath the water. They broke the surface inside a wide underground cavern. The walls glowed faintly, veins of crystalline material pulsing with rhythmic light, like the heartbeat of something enormous and ancient. Their breaths echoed softly, swallowed by the hum. Nathan gasped beside her, barely conscious. We fell. Inside it, Erika pulled him toward a shallow ledge, teeth chattering as she hauled them both out of the water. The air down here was thick and humid, strange, given the snowstorm above. The hum vibrated through her bones. It wasn't sound anymore. It was inside her. Togo's distant barking filtered faintly from above, muffled by ice. Still alive, relief flickered through her, brief, fragile, before fading beneath the weight of the eerie silence that followed. She turned to Nathan.
What is this place?
He coughed, water dripping from his hair. Our readings led here. We thought it was geothermal until we found the first tunnel lined with these. He gestured weakly at the crystalline walls. They resonate at specific frequencies, like they're listening or remembering, Erika frowned. Remembering what? Nathan's eyes darkened. Us, she stared at him. Come again? These formations record vibration. Every sound, every word, every echo ever made in the mountains. Over centuries, they've become the echoes themselves. Erika shook her head. That doesn't make sense. Neither does what's been hunting us, he said grimly. When we drilled too close, the crystals reacted. They started repeating our voices. We thought it was just feedback until they started to move. Erika shivered. You mean they're alive? Not like us, not flesh and blood, but something that exists through sound. He looked up, eyes glassy with fear. And when we disturbed them, they began searching for form. Erika ran a hand along the wall. The surface pulsed faintly under her touch, soft, almost like skin. Nathan, I think it's still reacting. The hum deepened. She pulled her hand back quickly. A faint shimmer spread outward where she touched, rippling across the crystalline veins like a wave. The hum shifted from low resonance to something higher, clearer, almost like a voice trying to form. Back, Nathan rasped. Don't touch it again. But Erika's hand trembled. Nathan, I think it's... A sound cut her off, faint but sharp. A whistle. They both froze. It echoed through the cavern, but it wasn't coming from above this time. It came from the tunnel ahead, deep within the glowing rock. Nathan's face went pale. They're here. Erika grabbed her rifle and hauled him to his feet. Move, now! They stumbled down the passage, following the faint incline downward. The tunnel walls narrowed, glowing brighter with each step. Behind them, the whistling multiplied, dozens of voices weaving together, mimicking their movements, their breathing, their whispers. At one point, Erika glanced over her shoulder and nearly screamed. Silhouettes formed from the glowing crystals themselves were peeling away from the walls, shaping into translucent, human-like forms. Some had her face, some had Nathan's, all moved in unnatural synchronization. Faster, she hissed, dragging him along. There's got to be another exit. After what felt like forever, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. The ceiling shimmered with thousands of light veins that pulsed like stars. In the center stood a structure, circular, smooth, metallic. Unlike the organic walls, it was clearly built. Erika's heart raced. What the hell is that? Nathan's voice trembled. That wasn't part of our survey. They approached cautiously. The structure was half buried in crystal, a massive door of some kind, with faint symbols etched across its surface. The hum in the air grew stronger here, almost deafening. Nathan touched the metal, and it vibrated faintly under his hand. It's ancient, pre-human maybe. Whatever these things are, this is where they came from. Erika stared at the carvings. A door, or a prison, he whispered. A sudden crack echoed behind them. Erika spun, rifle raised. The tunnel they'd come through was closing, the crystals knitting together, sealing the way out. And within the closing passage, the glowing forms advanced, their movements faster now, more deliberate. They're blocking us in, she shouted. Nathan staggered toward the door. There has to be a control mechanism, something to open it. The hum spiked. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Erika felt her ears pop, her teeth ache. The frequency was too high, too sharp. Nathan, she tried to shout. But her voice was drowned by the resonance. The metallic door began to glow. Then, Impossibly, a voice came from it. Low, ancient, speaking in a language she didn't know but somehow understood in her bones. Silence is survival. The hum cut out instantly, for a heartbeat. Everything went still. Then the door shuddered, splitting open with a deep metallic groan. A rush of hot air hit them, smelling of earth and ozone. Nathan stumbled backward. It opened. Erika's eyes widened. How? But her question died on her lips, because inside the chamber was no machinery, no treasure, only darkness. Thick black absolute, and from that darkness came movement, not footsteps, not a form, but sound itself, like invisible waves distorting the air, coalescing into something vaguely humanoid. Erika's skin prickled. The air felt electric, vibrating through her lungs. Nathan whispered, trembling, "That's it. The first one. The source." It turned toward them, and even though it had no face, Erika felt its gaze. The crystals around the chamber began to resonate again, replaying fragments of every sound they'd made since entering the cave. Their voices layered and warped, a cacophony of their own words thrown back at them. "Don't talk. Run. It's learning." Then the creature's voice joined the chorus, a perfect blend of both of theirs. "Don't talk," it said, mockingly. "Don't talk." Nathan grabbed Erika's arm, yanking her back. "We have to close it." "How?" He looked terrified. "We started this with sound. Maybe we can end it with silence." He pulled a small signal jammer from his soaked pack, a handheld device blinking weakly. "This will block all frequencies in a 50-foot radius. It might buy us time." Erika hesitated. "Or it might make it angry." "Either way," he said, voice shaking, "we don't have a choice." He flipped the switch. The hum vanished. Every vibration, every echo, every trace of sound disappeared. The silence was so complete it hurt, and in that silence, the creature began to crack. Its form flickered, glitching, like a reflection being erased. For a second, Erika thought it might actually work. Then the jammer sparked, short-circuited, and died. The creature's head snapped toward them. Its body reformed, sharper, denser, realer. The cave shook as it stepped forward. The door behind it began to close on its own. Nathan turned to Erika, eyes wide with horror. "Run!" They bolted down the side tunnel as the door slammed shut behind them with a soundless shockwave. The last thing Erika saw before the light went out was the creature's hand pressing against the inside of the door, and a dozen more shadows moving behind. The air went heavy after the blast. Silence wasn't peaceful down here. It was suffocating, thick as water. The faint glow from the crystalline veins barely reached the tunnel floor. Erika's boots crunched on wet stone as she dragged Nathan forward. He was slowing down, clutching his side. "We can't stop," she whispered, even though her words vanished the moment they left her lips. "If it catches us..." Nathan's flashlight flickered, throwing long shadows along the tunnel walls. "It can't move without sound," he rasped. "If we stay quiet, completely quiet, it won't find us." "How do we know that?" He didn't answer. They kept walking. The tunnel sloped downward again, opening into a lower chamber scattered with remnants of old mining equipment, rusted drills, metal frames, collapsed carts. It looked like a failed excavation site from decades ago. But everything here was melted. The stone surfaces were smooth, warped, as if something had liquefied them and left them to cool mid-motion. Erika crouched beside a twisted pickaxe embedded in the ground. The handle was half fused into the rock. Nathan limped up beside her. "Someone's been down here before, long before us," Erika nodded slowly. "Maybe they opened that door too." He stared at her, haunted. "And maybe they didn't live long enough to close it." A faint vibration traveled through the stone beneath their feet. Subtle, rhythmic, like the pulse of the earth. They froze. Erika mouthed silently, "It's moving again!" Nathan killed the flashlight instantly. The world dissolved into blackness. The vibration grew louder. They stood perfectly still. Even their breaths came shallow and soundless. After a long, excruciating minute, the vibration faded. Erika released a trembling exhale. "We have to find another way out." Nathan nodded, switching the light back on. The beam illuminated an old map painted on the cavern wall, faded lines and cryptic markings. One section bore a faint symbol shaped like a circle with 3 slashes through it. Beneath it, in barely legible letters, someone had scrawled, "The core knows." Erika traced the word with her fingers. "What's the core?" Nathan swallowed hard. If my readings were right, it's the energy source that feeds these crystals, a network running under the entire mountain range. It's what keeps them alive. Her stomach turned. Alive. He nodded grimly. If we can reach the core, maybe we can stop it. Shut down whatever's powering the resonance. She gave a dry laugh. You mean kill the mountain? Something like that. Before she could reply, the faintest whisper brushed her ear, so soft she almost thought she imagined it. Erika. Her blood froze. Nathan saw her face and tensed. What is it? She pointed behind him. It knows my name. The whisper came again, closer this time, weaving through the air like a thread. Erika, stay! Nathan raised the flashlight. The beam caught a shimmer ahead, one of the crystal walls rippling, shifting shape. For a second, it looked like a reflection of Erika herself. Then the figure tilted its head and smiled. Her breath caught. Don't talk, Nathan mouthed, gripping her wrist. The reflection opened its mouth in perfect sync with her own fear, but no sound came out. Instead, light spilled from its lips, curling like mist. Erika yanked Nathan's hand. Run! They sprinted down the next tunnel, light bouncing off the slick walls. The whisper followed, low and harmonic, multiplying into an eerie chorus that filled the air even though no one was speaking. They ran until the ground beneath them changed texture. Rougher, older stone, carved with symbols that glowed faintly gold instead of blue. The hum here was different. Lower, deeper, calmer. Nathan slowed. Wait, this frequency's stable. It's not reacting. Erika looked around. What does that mean? He scanned the carvings with his flashlight. These patterns are inhibitors, like sound dampeners. Someone built this place to contain the resonance, not create it. Who? Before he could answer, a metallic clang echoed from somewhere ahead. They both froze. The sound came again, deliberate, mechanical, like something large moving behind metal. Erika lifted her rifle, inching forward. They followed the noise until the tunnel opened into another chamber, and there, illuminated by a faint red light, stood a colossal machine. It was half buried in the ground, its outer shell cracked and ancient, covered in the same crystalline veins. It looked like an engine, but pulsing, breathing. Cables and organic-looking tubes ran from it into the surrounding rock. Nathan's eyes widened. The core, Erika whispered. You were right. He stepped closer, mesmerized. It's not mechanical anymore. It's merged with the mountain. Erika's flashlight caught something else, a body slumped near the base of the machine. The figure was wrapped in an old exploration suit, bones visible through the torn fabric. The helmet visor was shattered. Etched across the suit's chest plate were words burned into the metal. Speak, and it awakens. Her throat went dry. Nathan! He stared at the warning, pale. They tried to shut it down, and failed. The ground trembled again. Cracks spiderwebbed through the machine's surface, light spilling from within. Erika backed away. What's happening? Nathan frantically tapped his handheld scanner. The energy's spiking. Something's triggering it. But we didn't say anything. Then it hit her. The metallic clangs they'd heard earlier weren't echoes. They were the core's heartbeat. The mountain was already awake. Nathan turned toward her, eyes wide. We're too late. The crystals overhead flared, flooding the chamber in blinding light. The hum returned, deafening now, vibrating through every bone in her body. Erika clutched her head, screaming silently. The sound wasn't around her anymore. It was inside her skull. She saw flashes, brief, disjointed images, the ancient miners discovering the same tunnel, drilling, shouting, then being consumed by light. Then another flash of herself, standing before the core, speaking a single word. The word was lost in static, but the feeling it carried made her stomach twist. Nathan reached for her, shouting something she couldn't hear. Then the ground gave way, the floor split open beneath them, and they plunged into darkness again, falling through light, sound, and memory. When Erika opened her eyes, she was lying in shallow water, her ears ringing. Nathan was gone. Only one thing broke the silence now. A whisper so faint it barely existed, her own voice, repeating from somewhere deep in the darkness ahead. "Don't talk." Water trickled past Erika's ear, steady and cold. The sound felt louder than it should have, like every drop was a word, and every ripple was an echo of something lost. When she finally sat up, she realized the light had changed again. The blue glow of the crystals was gone. Now the cavern shimmered faint gold, faint silver, like she was inside a living memory instead of stone. Nathan. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it still carried. The sound stretched unnaturally far, bouncing down invisible corridors before fading. No answer. She tried again. "Nathan?" This time a reply came, distant, warped, wrong. "Erika." But the voice didn't come from one direction. It came from everywhere. Her chest tightened. "No!" She pushed herself up, wading through the water. It was shallow, ankle-deep, yet it seemed endless, reflecting the ceiling's light like liquid glass. The tunnel ahead forked into 3 paths. She turned in circles, trying to listen, to feel which way to go. The left tunnel whispered faintly, "Erika, help me." The middle one hummed low, the same frequency that once nearly tore her mind apart. The right one was quiet. She chose the quiet. The passage narrowed quickly, forcing her to squeeze between smooth rock walls. It opened into a small alcove, and there, half hidden in the rock, she found something impossible. A door. Not metal, not wood, but sound. It shimmered faintly, rippling when she approached. Every movement she made, every breath, sent waves across its surface like ripples on water, and within those ripples, faint images appeared. Fragments of lives, a miner wiping sweat from his brow, a woman whispering lullabies in a cabin, a child running through snow laughing, then herself, standing by her cabin, looking at the mountains before the storm ever began. She stumbled back, heart racing. "What are you showing me?" The door pulsed, then a voice came, soft, familiar. "Because you remember us," she froze. "Who are you?" The voice shifted, now sounding like her father's, gentle but echoing. "You heard the mountain long before you came here, Erika. You listened when no one else did." Her throat went dry. "That's impossible." The light around her flickered, the air humming with overlapping voices. "We were all like you once, listeners. The mountain calls to those who are hollowed by silence. That's how it finds new echoes." Erika shook her head violently. "I'm not like you. I didn't come here for this." The door rippled. "You came because you had to. Because you were already hearing it." Memories surged, fragments she'd buried under months of isolation. The night her radio started catching voices that weren't on any channel. The morning she'd wake to whispers coming from the trees. The way the forest sometimes called her name when no one was there. Togo's bark had always chased them away, but maybe he hadn't been barking at nothing. She pressed her hands to her ears. "Stop it!" The golden light dimmed. The door flickered, and suddenly the whispers vanished, replaced by a new sound. Footsteps, wet, uneven. Behind her. She spun around, raising her rifle. Nathan stood there, or what looked like him. His clothes were torn, his skin pale and glistening like crystal dust. His eyes glowed faintly blue. He smiled, the wrong kind of smile. "You found it, Nathan," she whispered. "What happened to you?" "I listened too long," he said softly. "Now I can hear what it wants. What is it?" "The mountain isn't alive," he murmured. "It's a vessel, a memory. Every sound it's ever captured becomes part of its body. Every word, every voice, every scream. It's trying to become whole again." She took a step back. "And what does that mean?" He tilted his head. "It means it needs you, Erika. You're the last voice it doesn't have." Her heart slammed against her ribs. "You're not Nathan," he smiled sadly. "He wasn't strong enough to stay. But I remember him." He took a step closer. The hum around them deepened, the air vibrating with hidden tones. Erika lifted her rifle. "Stay back," "You can't shoot silence," he whispered. Her finger tightened on the trigger, but before she could fire, the sound shifted again. Behind Nathan, the shimmering door began to crack, not physically but sonically. Fractures of silence spread across its surface like black veins. The false Nathan turned toward it, frowning. "It's breaking through," Erika didn't understand until she heard the new sound leaking through the cracks, breathing, heavy, human, then a real voice, desperate, trembling. "Erika, don't listen to it. It's using my—" The sound cut off, replaced by a shriek that wasn't human at all. She recognized that voice. Nathan's real voice. The creature beside her snarled, face twisting as the mountain's hum grew violent. The golden light shattered, replaced by strobing blue-white chaos. Erika fired. The bullet hit the mimic dead center, and for a moment its body exploded into shards of light and sound. The hum spiked into a scream that shook the cavern walls. Then, silence. The false Nathan was gone. Erika collapsed to her knees, gasping. The sound door now flickered wildly, collapsing inward, the images within it spinning like reflections in a broken mirror. Through the cracks, she could see flashes, not just of Nathan, but of dozens of others. Miners, explorers, hikers. Their faces twisted in terror, mouths open as if shouting warnings she couldn't hear, her vision blurred. The last image she saw before the door shattered completely was herself, standing in front of the mountain cabin, blood on her hands, whispering into the wind. "It's awake." Then the door imploded with a deafening pulse, throwing her backward into the water. When she opened her eyes, she wasn't in the same cavern anymore. She was outside. Snow fell softly around her. The forest stretched silent and still. Her cabin stood a few feet away, smoke curling from its chimney. Togo barked once from the porch, for a heartbeat. She thought it was over. Then she saw the reflection in her cabin window, her own face. But when it blinked, the eyes glowed blue, and from inside the cabin, her own voice whispered, "Don't talk." The wind had stopped. Even the snowflakes seemed suspended in midair, hanging motionless like dust in amber. Erika stood in front of her cabin, chest heaving, water dripping from her hair and coat. Her breath fogged faintly in the air, and yet she couldn't feel the cold. Togo. The dog barked again, but the sound was off, too steady, too even. She took a step forward. The crunch of her boots on snow echoed 3 times. Each echo was the same length, the same pitch, mechanical, not natural. Her hand tightened around her rifle. "This isn't real." The cabin door creaked open on its own. Warm light spilled from inside, flickering like firelight. And then a voice, her own voice, called softly from within. "Erika, come in." "You'll freeze." Her stomach turned. "No," she whispered. "You're not me." But the other voice laughed. "Who else would I be? You made me. You brought me home." Togo padded toward her through the snow, tail wagging, but his paws didn't leave prints. That was when she understood. This was no memory. It was a reconstruction. The mountain wasn't replaying the past anymore. It was rebuilding her world out of sound and echo, a perfect imitation. She backed away, scanning the forest. The trees looked the same, but they shimmered faintly, their bark rippling like heat haze. Beyond them, faint shapes moved, half-seen silhouettes shifting in and out of the haze, whispering softly. The door creaked wider. Her reflection, her echo, stood in the doorway now. It looked identical except for the eyes, glowing faint blue like the crystals underground. "Come in, Erika," it said gently. "Oh, you've been gone so long." She raised her rifle. "Where's Nathan?" The reflection tilted its head. "Nathan? There was no Nathan. You came here alone, remember? I remember saving him. He's alive." Her double smiled, the same way she had smiled once in a mirror years ago. "Then where is he?" Erika froze. She looked around, snow, forest, silence. No footprints except hers. No sign of Nathan. No breath but her own. A flicker of doubt crept in. What if— No, she pushed the thought away. "You're trying to confuse me. I'm trying to complete you," the reflection said softly. "You belong to us now, to the mountain, The wind returned suddenly, howling harsh, carrying whispers that rose and fell like 1,000 voices speaking over one another. The snow blew sideways, stinging her skin. Through it, she saw flashes of faces, people she'd seen in the crystals, their mouths moving, their eyes hollow. The reflection's expression darkened. "Don't resist. You'll only make it worse." Erika fired. The shot cracked through the stillness, loud, final. The reflection shattered like glass, pieces of light scattering across the porch. The cabin light flickered violently. The forest's whispers rose in pitch, shrill, angry. The snow dissolved. The cabin vanished. Erika was back in the cavern, except now it was collapsing. The walls pulsed with chaotic light, and through the cracks she saw the same false world. The forest, the cabin, the snow, flickering like a dying memory. She stumbled forward, disoriented. "Nathan!" she shouted. Her voice bounced off every surface, overlapping, doubling, until it became 1,000 Erikas shouting back. "Nathan! Nathan!" Nathan then, a faint human voice cut through the chaos. "Erika, over here!" She spun, heart pounding. The voice was faint but real, echoing from a tunnel to her right. She ran toward it, slipping on wet stone, scrambling over fallen crystal. The hum followed her, rising and falling like a heartbeat. She burst into a narrow chamber and froze. Nathan was there, chained to a crystalline pillar. His body was thin, pale, veins faintly glowing blue. But his eyes were still his. "Erika," he whispered, "it's trying to use you. It wants your voice." She dropped beside him, grabbing his hands. "And we can still stop it." He shook his head weakly. "It's too late. It's been feeding off every sound we've made since we entered. The more we fight, the stronger it gets." "No," she said, voice trembling. "You said the core powers it. If we destroy the core, you can't destroy it with noise," he interrupted. "Only with silence." "Silence. It feeds on resonance. You have to cut it off. All sound, all vibration, everything." Erika looked around frantically. The cavern walls vibrated with pulsing veins of light, the air alive with a faint hum. The mountain was breathing. She turned back to him. "How?" Nathan managed a weak smile. "There's a failsafe. The old miners built it. A resonance suppressor buried beneath the core. You have to reach it. But once it's triggered," he didn't finish. "It'll kill everything inside," Erika said softly. He nodded. "Everything that makes a sound." The hum deepened. Cracks split the ground and blue light poured out. The cavern shook violently. The mountain was awakening fully. Erika squeezed Nathan's hand. "I'm coming back for you." His grip tightened. "If you hear me again after this, don't answer. It won't be me." She hesitated, then let go. The tunnel leading down to the core was collapsing, pieces of crystal falling like shards of frozen lightning. She sprinted through, the hum vibrating so hard it rattled her teeth. At last she reached the heart of the chamber, the core itself, pulsing like a living heart inside stone. Its light was blinding now, its rhythm violent. The air smelled like ozone and blood. She found the metal control panel half buried beneath a layer of glowing rock. Symbols glowed faintly across it, one shaped like a circle with 3 slashes. The same symbol she'd seen before, the failsafe. Her hand hovered over it. The vibrations were so strong, she could barely keep balance. Then she heard it, Nathan's voice again, close behind her. "Erika!" "Wait!" She froze. "Please," the voice said softly. "Don't do it. You'll die. We can control it. We can become it." She turned slowly. Nathan stood there, or rather something wearing his face. The same blue glow in his eyes. The same voice, only smoother, perfectly pitched. "Think about it," it said. "The mountain doesn't destroy. It preserves. Every sound, every life, every memory, forever. We could live inside it, together." Erika stared at him, trembling. "That's not life. It's survival." She looked at the control. The hum was deafening now. "The crystals were crawling across the walls like vines," she whispered. "Then I choose silence." Her hand slammed down on the symbol. The core screamed. A shockwave tore through the chamber, pure and blinding. The mountain howled, a billion echoes collapsing at once. The sound became light, and the light became nothing. Then, silence, complete. Erika Harywreght stood beneath the towering pine trees, their dark needles whispering above her. The night was heavy with the scent of damp earth and rain. The stranger, Elias, leaned weakly against a tree trunk beside her, his arm wrapped in a rough bandage she'd tied earlier. His face was pale but steady now, his eyes following the flickering shadows that danced across the forest floor. The underground passage had collapsed behind them after their escape from the facility. Erika had heard the rumble of the earth closing in, burying the horrors they'd uncovered deep beneath the mountain. But even now she could feel it, the strange vibration under her boots, the hum that seemed to pulse through the ground. The forest was not silent. "What you saw down there," Elias said, his voice low. "You can't tell anyone." "Not yet." Erika crossed her arms, still shivering from the cold and the adrenaline. "You think I could explain that to anyone? The cages, the lights, the things in the water tanks? No one would believe it." He nodded slowly, then reached into his torn jacket. From the inner pocket, he pulled out a small metallic capsule, silver, smooth, and faintly glowing. "This is what they were protecting," he said. "It's not gold or weapons, it's knowledge. Something ancient they found, buried under the mountain, long before the towns ever existed." Erika stared at it, her breath catching. "Knowledge?" Elias met her eyes. "It's a form of communication, not human. It reacts to thought." She took an uncertain step back. "You're saying it's alive?" "Not alive," he replied, "but aware." He placed it gently in her hand. The metal was warm, too warm for something pulled from the cold night air. The surface shifted faintly, like ripples of water beneath glass. She felt a pressure in her head, a pulse. Then a whisper not made of words, but of images. Tall figures carved in stone, storms twisting through alien skies, and mountains splitting apart to reveal glowing rivers of light. She gasped, nearly dropping it. Elias caught her wrist, steadying her. "It's trying to find someone who understands," he said quietly. "Someone who can listen." "Why me?" she whispered, fear and wonder warring inside her. "Because it chose you." Before Erika could respond, a rustle of movement echoed from the dark ridge behind them. Dozens of lights appeared, flashlights, beams sweeping through the trees. Men in black coats, the same insignia as those from the facility, were spreading out across the forest. Elias tensed. "They followed us," he muttered. "We have to move." They ran, through thickets, over roots and fallen logs. The forest was alive with motion now, branches snapping, dogs barking in the distance. Elias stumbled once, his wound slowing him, but Erika pulled him forward. The capsule in her pocket burned like fire. When they reached the cliff's edge overlooking the ravine, Elias stopped her. "We can't outrun them," he said. "But you can still stop them." He pointed to a ridge of rocks that glowed faintly with the same strange light she'd seen underground. "That's where it started. The pulse originates there. If you place the capsule at the source, it'll end the link. It'll seal whatever's been awakening." "What about you?" she asked, breathless. "I'll hold them off." Before she could argue, he was already turning back toward the approaching lights. She hesitated for only a second, then sprinted toward the ridge. The air grew hotter as she neared it. The capsule pulsed brighter in her hand. The humming became a roar. When she reached the rock face, she pressed the capsule into a crevice that glowed like molten gold. A shockwave surged through her chest. Light burst upward from the mountain, tearing through the fog like lightning. The ground trembled violently, but then silence. The lights in the forest flickered out one by one. The humming stopped. Only the wind remained, sighing softly through the trees. Erika collapsed to her knees, gasping. When she turned, Elias was gone. No footprints, no sound. Only the faint smell of pine and smoke. She rose shakily, her body trembling with exhaustion. As dawn broke over the mountain, she saw the valley below, peaceful, untouched, as if the night had never happened. But when she looked at her hand, faint lines of gold shimmered beneath her skin, tracing the shape of the capsule that was no longer there. The whisper returned, soft, distant, ancient. "You listened." Erika looked toward the horizon. Somewhere deep below, the mountain was still breathing, but it no longer felt hostile. It felt awake. She took one last glance at the forest where Elias had vanished, then turned toward her cabin. Life would never be the same, but she had learned one thing. Some warnings aren't meant to silence you. They're meant to prepare you for what you're destined to hear. 3 months had passed since that night, the night when the mountains shuddered. The forest went silent, and Erika Harywright's life split cleanly into before and after. The small cabin she'd rebuilt on the ridge still stood, though its windows now glowed faintly at night, reflecting light from something deep beneath the soil. Locals from the nearby town of Rainsford whispered about it, how no birds flew near her land anymore, how even hunters avoided the valley when fog rolled in. Some said she'd gone mad. Others said she'd struck gold. Erika ignored them all. Every dawn, she sat on her porch with a mug of bitter coffee, staring at the line where the forest met the mist. The trees swayed softly, and in that rhythm she sometimes thought she heard words, not spoken, but pulsing through the air like a heartbeat she could almost understand. The markings on her hand had not faded. The faint gold shimmered beneath her skin, glowing brighter when she touched the earth. It wasn't painful, only strange, as though the mountain had marked her as part of itself. Then, one morning, she found something new, just beyond the tree line, where she'd buried the remains of Elias's torn jacket. The soil had cracked open in a perfect circle. From its center rose a stone tablet, smooth and impossibly clean, as though carved by invisible hands. Etched across its face were symbols she recognized, not from memory, but from the flashes the capsule had shown her. The same swirling patterns, the same energy that hummed beneath her skin. She reached out to touch it, and the world fell away. In an instant, she stood in the same vast cavern she'd seen in her vision months ago. Above her, towers of crystal pulsed like living veins. Beneath her feet flowed rivers of light that hummed in harmony with her heartbeat. In the center of it all stood Elias, alive, uninjured, watching her. "You found it," he said softly. Erika blinked, stepping closer. "Elias, where are we? What is this?" "It's not a place," he said. "It's a connection." The capsule didn't just close the link, it transferred it. "To you? To me?" he nodded. The mountain chose a guardian, a voice it could trust to listen, not exploit. "It's showing you the truth of what lies beneath." He lifted a hand, and the cavern shifted. She saw flashes, centuries ago, before humans built towns or roads here. An object had fallen from the sky, burrowing deep beneath the peaks. It wasn't a weapon. It was a vessel containing not life, but memory. The knowledge of an ancient world, waiting for someone to awaken it. "You can still walk away," Elias said. "Forget this. Live your life." Erika looked around. The light of the crystals reflected in her eyes, warm and alive. "No," she whispered. "I think I was meant to stay." When she awoke, she was back at the cabin porch. The tablet was gone. In its place, the soil shimmered faintly, as though something beneath it breathed. She didn't question it. Instead, she began to write. At night, she'd fill notebooks with symbols and sketches she didn't consciously understand. Maps of stars, diagrams of energy. Formulas that, when she traced them in the dirt, caused the air itself to hum. The whispers in the wind grew stronger, not threatening, but guiding. The people of Rainsford began to notice small miracles. Wells refilling after years of drought, dead pines sprouting green again, animals returning to the mountain paths. And though no one ever saw Erika leave her cabin, lantern light always glowed from within. One night, a child wandering too far into the woods claimed he saw her, standing in the clearing, her eyes golden like the dawn, her hands glowing as she touched the trunk of an ancient pine. When he told the townsfolk, they laughed. But the next morning, that same pine stood taller than ever before, its roots spreading toward the valley like veins of gold. No one went looking for her after that, but sometimes, when the wind howled through the mountains and the mist rolled low, people swore they heard a voice whispering from the forest, soft, gentle, and eternal. "Don't talk, listen." The mountain was still alive, and Erika Harywreght was its keeper now. Years passed. though time around Erika Harywreght no longer moved in a straight line. Seasons bled together, the snow melting into spring rain, the green summer pines fading into amber mist. Through it all, the mountain remained the same, vast, alive, watchful. Erika had long stopped counting the days. Her hair, once dark, had streaks of silver that shimmered faintly in moonlight. Her eyes glowed faintly gold whenever she stood close to the mountain's roots. She no longer lived in the world as others did. She lived with it. The old road to her cabin grew over with moss. Birds nested in her porch rafters. Foxes trotted through her garden without fear. To the people below, her land became something sacred. They called it the Silent Ridge, a place where no one shouted, no one hunted, no one dared to break the stillness, but sometimes travelers lost in the fog spoke of a figure in a long coat, carrying a lantern that burned with golden flame. She would appear beside them when the path disappeared and guide them wordlessly towards safety. No one ever saw her face clearly, but all said the same thing. Her eyes were kind, and her silence felt like peace. One stormy night, lightning split the sky above the mountain. A rumble rolled through the valley so deep it woke the town below. Some said they saw light seeping from cracks in the earth, glowing veins that stretched up toward Erika's ridge. The people were afraid, but in her cabin, Erika stood at her window watching the storm's fury. The ground beneath her feet pulsed, not with anger but calling. The golden lines beneath her skin flared bright. She felt the voice again, the same one she'd first heard when Elias warned her to stay silent. It's time. She stepped outside into the rain. The pines bowed in the wind, the soil trembling. From beneath the roots of the oldest tree, a fissure opened, and light poured upward in slow, steady waves. It wasn't destructive, it was beautiful. Like dawn rising from underground, Elias appeared beside her once more. Not a ghost, not flesh, but a projection of memory. The mountain's way of speaking in a form she could understand. The cycle's ending, he said. It's ready to wake fully, but it needs a bridge, a living voice. Erika looked at him, the rain soaking her hair and face. You mean me, he nodded. You've carried its memory long enough. Now it carries you. The earth shook again, but she didn't flinch. She walked forward, barefoot through the mud, until she stood over the glowing fissure. The light reached for her like water reaching for the shore. Will they be safe? She asked softly, glancing toward the distant town lights below. Yes, Elias said. Because you were here. She smiled, eyes soft. Then I'm ready. The light surged upward, enveloping her completely. Her form dissolved, not into nothing, but into radiance, threads of gold rising with the wind. For a moment, the entire forest glowed, each leaf, each stone, each droplet of rain. Then the light sank quietly back into the ground, and silence returned. When morning came, the fissure was gone. Only the pines stood, taller than before, their trunks faintly luminous where sunlight touched them. The cabin remained untouched, its door slightly ajar, as though waiting for someone who would never return. The townsfolk climbed the ridge a week later, curious and afraid. They found her footprints leading to the great pine and ending abruptly at the roots. But there was no body, no sign of struggle. Only one thing remained. Her journal resting on the porch table, pages filled with shimmering ink that seemed alive. The last entry read, "The mountain does not speak in words. It speaks in silence, in the spaces between thunder and wind. We were never meant to control it, only to remember it. If you listen long enough, you'll hear it too." After that day, the storms over Rainsford grew gentler. Crops flourished. The rivers ran clear, and sometimes on still mornings when fog draped the valley, the townspeople swore they could see golden light moving through the trees, slow, graceful, eternal. They no longer feared the mountain. They listened to it, and deep beneath the roots, in chambers of crystal and stone, the consciousness of the earth stirred, alive, aware, watching through Erika's golden eyes that had become one with its soul. The legend of Erika Harywreght, the mountain listener, was born. And somewhere, carried by the wind, a voice whispered once more, "Don't talk, listen." Up next, we have two more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch, and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.